Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today, we've got a little video for you where I want to talk about 7 reasons why I think Destruction as a Grand Alliance is probably, or maybe not, maybe it is the best Grand Alliance to start with for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Now, Destruction is the Grand Alliance made of the hordes of various different monsters that are sort of the primal force of the Mortal Realms. This includes Auric Warclans, Ogre Maw tribes, and Gloomspite Gits, as along with the Sons of Behemoth. Now, the reason I think this, I want to go through a couple of reasons, and it's maybe not the most competitive reasons, but I definitely do think when you're getting into Age of Sigmar that Aurics and Ogres, Gargants, and Grots definitely give you something that a lot of other Grand Alliances either do too much of, do too little of, or just in general don't hit the same sort of right notes that a lot of the Destruction armies do to give you that great first impression of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So without further ado, this is 7 reasons why I think Destruction is great to start with in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Number 1, simple and easy to understand allegiance abilities. This goes for all 4 of the Grand Alliance's factions. Gloomspite Gits, the Sons of Behemoth, Ogre Maw tribes, and the Auric Warclans all have really easy to understand allegiance abilities. Now, yes, while some of the allegiance abilities like Auric Warclans and the Gloomspite Gits can split into a bunch of different things, I don't think there's any allegiance abilities with any of these factions that really is hard to come to grips with. Some of them might be a bit more wordy and might require a little bit more reading, but they all function very basically. They don't require a lot. I mean, even the Gloomspite Gits, you have a moon. The moon gives you abilities based on where it is on the battlefield. You get those abilities when you're underneath the moon. It is really that simple. Yes, you can dive into it more than that, going that Grots get reroll ones to hit, and Squigs move better, and Trogs heal, but all of that's really only apparent when you're under the light of the moon. You need to go, oh cool, I've only got Trogs under the light of the moon, that means only my heals are better. It's all I need to worry about. Ogres, much the same. You do mortal wounds when you charge, you're either hungry or you're eating, and you do some mortal wounds when people are around your frosty monsters. It's really simple compared to so many other allegiance abilities coming out in the game. I'm looking at you, Lumineth Realm Lords. They are so simple and easy to understand. It's a great way to get people into the game and not overburden them with some of the battle tomes in the game that have such complex or overly or over the top allegiance abilities. Number 2, basic but strong war scrolls. Much like the allegiance abilities, there's not a lot of words on many of the war scrolls for the armies of destruction. Now, some of them definitely do have more complex abilities, and this is generally reserved for much more elite units, and in sometimes the words actually on the page don't actually have that much influence on the game. You can look at, say, the Grot Shooters or Stabbers War Scroll, where there is quite a few rules on them. However, most of this is attributed to the different command models you can have in the unit, which you just simply go, cool, I get +1 to do this, or maybe it's a shield rule, and maybe it's a unit size rule. And generally, you have the nets as well that provide a rule. There's not an awful lot there, though. It's all very basic. It's not, oh, if you do this and this particular resource is spent, do X. There's none of that with any of the Maw tribes or any of the other Destruction factions armies. It really just makes them really easy to understand, and they're also good war scrolls. I look at Ogres in particular alongside Aurics as well, though that may change in a couple of weeks. That the Ogres war scrolls are so simple, yet they're good. They just are 3s and 3s doing this, or 4s rerolling to hit because you got 2 hand weapons. They're just nice, simple and basic war scrolls, but they're really good, solid, strong and competitive war scrolls as well. Number 3, Destruction dabbles in many phases of the game, but at the end of the day, it really loves to fight. Whether this is Gloomspite Gits relying on your opponents being at minus modifiers to hit and all of that, or if you're just playing with a, say, shooting sort of Ogre Iron Guts army, that's trying to really just use those iron blasters to full effect, or even playing with the new cruel boys and using bolt boys, at the end of the day, you're still orcs, goblins, and ogres and all destruction monsters you really, at the end of the day, are liking to fight. The Dabble is really good though, because this allows you to learn all the different phases of the game while sort of focusing on one, which is your smashing phase, aka the combat phase or charge phase. This makes them really interesting to play, really simple to play, and really easy to get your hand around how to sort of steer your army and pilot it really well. Number 4, destruction is really easy to paint and it has loads of room to improve. Now, it can be really easy to paint thanks to just large blocks of colors that can apply to various areas, and also the fact that destruction is generally not a sort of natural skin tone. Orcs and goblins especially use greens as their skin tones, and ogres do have large areas with lots of definition on the muscles, which makes shading basic skin tones very easy on them. This though is sort of a bonus thing you can get from destruction is, while they are really simple to paint, on the easy sort of side of it, when you're learning, you can really go to town on some of their more, I guess, out there models. Things like the Gobblepalooza or a unit of Ogre Man-Eaters are amazing painting projects to have, and really some units that will help improve and better your skills when painting with them. The fact that you can go from this very basic sort of painting style to a really advanced painting level with destruction is another testament as to why I do think it's a great place to be and a great place to get into the game, because you've got that good starting point and a good end point. Number 5, a great variety of army sizes. This is a really great thing for getting into the faction and getting into Warhammer Age of Sigmar. You can start off with something like an Ogre army, or even Gloomspike Gits playing Trog heavy. Gargants obviously don't require many models, and you've also got Oryx, which can be quite elite, especially when playing in the Ironjaws area of them. This allows you to get into the game really easily and cheaply, purchasing some really great Star Collecting boxes as well. Both the Ironjaws and Beastclaw Radius Star Collecting boxes are fantastic first buy purchases to get into the game with. But the fact you can have these really small elite armies, and then if you want to go and play a more horde heavy army, this works in any of them, obviously excluding Sons of Behemoth, but even they can change from a 4 model 2000 point army up to a 10 model 2000 point army, which doubles the amount of models in your army. So in comparison, that's really going horde with Gargants. But this is a really great thing because it allows you to have all these options once more. Just another thing you've got all these options with, and the ability to grow with as you continue a path down Warhammer Age of Sigmar with destruction. 6, plain and simple, fun rules. I think things like the bouncing abilities of Gloomspike Gits are amazingly fun rules in the game. You've also got other cool rules around the armies, things like the whole hungry and eating and filling up your maw pot with other enemy models as you kill them nearby, and also things like the Gargant's ability to throw enemy models or stuff them down in their pants or in their little sort of bags. I think all of these rules are really fun, and it makes the game fun just having those moments when these things go off and do all the weird thing. There's nothing like picking up your opponent's banner bearer and stuffing him down your Gargant's pants. It just makes for a fun game. They're fun rules that really just bring some laughter and enjoyment to the table, which at the end of the day, if you're playing Warhammer, that's what it's all about. And lastly, number 7, a plethora of interesting combos and builds. Now, a lot of this I've talked about the simplicity of destruction as a faction, and yes, that is completely true. They're a really easy faction to play, understand, but what I think adds to all of this is all those basic things that destruction does well. I've talked about in the entirety of this video. Destruction has so much depth once you really start getting to understand the game that make it interesting. Gloomspike Gits have some really cool abilities to do a combos across your army, just stacking all the buffs on different units and sort of empowering yourself, doing these weird and wacky combos throughout the game. Ogres, much the same, have some really interesting and different builds in their army. You wouldn't think that you could make an army with all cannons, but boy, you can. Maybe it's not the best army, but you can do it. Gargants also have different builds within their force, which sounds really weird. Just changing around how you play with those different Mega Gargants as your general can make some really interesting builds. And of course, Orc Warclans and Big Wire especially, the ability to mix and match all 3 different kinds of Oryx is really interesting, as it allows you just to sort of tweak and play around with those different sort of combos within the army. Well, thank you all for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fun little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the description of the video to our Discord server, We're always on there. There's always someone chatting. You can go on there and have a good time. Next up, if you'd like to help support the channel in another way, you can do so by following one of the links to Patreon, YouTube members, or following a link to our merch store on Teespring and grabbing some merch to help support the channel in that way. But also, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. So first of all, a big thank you to our Patreon members, Christian Weir, James, Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lull, Outer Shop First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, MJ, and Dynat226. And a special thank you as well to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, Turai12, Vinny, Lock Lorick, Matt Mollum, Becky Kinsker Groupie, The Johnny84, and El Mapache. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Lady Witchfox Art, first of all, who does all the amazing artwork you see on the channel, and also to Xmorphic, who does an amazing job of running the Discord server and doing all the background work there for us. Thank you all for watching once again though. Stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.